Hello everybody, John here, and today onto the garage. It's the second half of Secrets of the XK8, where we look at the secret of getting a dead seat out of an XK8. In our previous episode, we talked through how in the car you can remove these relatively secret bolts, 4 of them. And I also said you'd have to cut the cable ties to this wire, which is basically detecting that the seat bolt is buckled, and that goes into a little black connector just up there. So you need to disconnect that one. Other than that, it's a relatively simple task of reaching under the front of the seat. Then you just go disconnect a couple of connectors. That's the one that goes to the floor in the car, so that's already off. The yellow one here, and the white one that's at the front, and that's its other half down there, goes to the motor. Then you should be able to lift the seat off the sledge just a little, and all we're after at this stage is this loop of wire here is attached with a fir tree connector to this bracket just behind the motor, just out of shot. So again, reaching under the seat, it's not easy to see, but once you know what's there, it's relatively easy to do. And like that, and that is the sledge completely disconnected. It was just this little fir tree connector that's just taped to the wiring loom, holding everything in place. You find quite a lot of gaffer tape and all sorts underneath here. It is OE, it is how it's supposed to be, but it's not the neatest. Okay, so I've returned the sledge to the car because if you've been following the instructions so far, this is where you will be. You'll have taken the seat off rather than split it on the bench like I have. And you've now got access and a good view of what's going on. And we're making the assumption, remember, that you can't remove the seat, and now you can't remove the sledge because the electronics part of it has failed. You can't maneuver it backwards and forwards. And whilst you can typically get at the front bolt, because most of us have our seats wound quite a way back in the XK8, the rear bolts are completely obscured. So we mentioned it before, but your first port of call would be use the white terminal block here, which only has the 2 wires going in it, to supply a clean 12 volts, and if the motor still works, then this will travel one way or the other. If it goes the wrong way, then obviously you reverse the polarity and travel it the other way, job done. And then you can get at the back bolts. However, if that fails, then you've got to go to the last stage in this how-to guide, secrets guide. And I'm going to show you what to do, but I'm not going to do it, and you'll see why. So the secret to being able to remove the seat, and there's really not a lot of other ways that don't include completely butchering your car, is here's the front bolt. If you know the distance from here to the back bolt, which I do, it's 36 centimeters, then what you need to do is drill a hole. And you need to drill a hole big enough for the Torx T40 bit that you have to pass cleanly through it with about 1mm clearance. So in my example, hole centre to hole centre, and obviously I haven't positioned the sledge to be easy or hard, just where it's at. On mine, 36 rather unfortunately lies on this rivet, but you know, there's no alternatives. I'm going to be drilling a hole just here, and I'm going to be drilling about an 8mm hole, and that will give me direct access for my Torx tool to the bolt head, which I can undo. No, it won't come all the way out, that's okay, it'll lift the sledge as it comes. On the opposite side, the dimensions are different. On this side, the critical dimension is 32. Which falls rather nicely. And I drill an 8mm hole in the middle of the track, and obviously you can see the plane the track is running over here. So that would actually fall, yeah, about there. And again, that would give me access to the bolt head. Would that destroy your runners? No. Be careful when you break through, you don't marmalise the actual bolt head. So you don't want to plunge through with your drill and wreck the Torx bolt. So you have got to be careful. But once you've drilled that hole, undo the sledge, change the sledge, or repair the sledge, or find out what's wrong with it, bolt it back to your seat, and you're back into the right position. Well, I hope you found that interesting. Hopefully you'll never need to use this technique, but I have a lot of questions about it. So I guess failure in seats is more common than I'd like to think, and that is the only way of getting them out. You'll hear about alternatives that include drilling through the floor from the underside and then screwing the bolt up. But as you can't see either of them from below because they're raised, they're on an inside skin, finding your datum position to drill up from, I think you're going to end up with a lot of holes down there. But it is an option. You could look at drilling from underneath, but you're going to end up drilling a 1.5 to 2 inch hole, in my opinion. Try and get some mole grips on the base and turn the bolt so it screws up. Tricky, but possible. This is the only real way of doing it. Before we go, it's a changing of the calendar day. So thank you very much, Udo, for your beautiful picture of their cats. Doesn't pass me by that ironically that's the most British of Jaguar photos, and you're from Germany. Brilliant stuff. So bye bye to that photo, and hello Gary Brown. This is a moody shot. So Gary Brown's 2000 XKR Silverstone on the Thames Coast Road, Coromandel, New Zealand. Probably pronounced Coromandel very wrong. Always amuses me as a Brit that names in New Zealand are generally a mixture of so British, Thames Coast Road, that you think, really? Along with so Antipodean, Coromandel, that they sound very odd to our ear. You get a lot of British names throughout the world, just nature of history, including America, Australia, and many, many other places. But New Zealand seems to do it best. British name followed by something very, very them. And the thumbnail shots that we have on this one are Claude Daigle, Clinton Hickson, Colin James, Damien Birch, David Cobb, and Declan Cousin. It's going to be a privilege to have you guys on my wall for a month. If you're enjoying our channel, then don't forget to subscribe and click the little bell icon so you get notifications of new videos. And please give us a thumbs up or thumbs down, and you can share the videos. And below the video is always the area where you can comment and get involved with the chat.